Hey mages, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. Today I've got 5 new 0 rare decks for you. 0 rare, just commons and uncommons in all of these decks, and I will give you some upgrade suggestions as well that I will put down in the description. So if you're interested in upgrading these decks, let me know in the comments of which deck you want to do, and then I'll try and help you with the upgrades that I do put in the description down below. Deck lists obviously will be there as well. But what I like, I do like to put out a few times when sets come out, different kinds of 0 rare decks if we can, just to keep it fresh. A lot of people do them at the start, but I like to, see if I can brew quite a few decks that way, so it keeps it fresh for you. If everyone struggles with wildcards and you just want to play potentially something different, but just want to use your common and uncommons and save your rares or something, maybe for if you like one of these decks, you can upgrade it. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to get on to the first deck. Just want to mention my sponsors, Cardmarket, because if you do like to get any of these cards in paper, check out the link in that description as well. We said description a lot today. There's a lot in the description. Always check it out. Anyway, let's get on to the first deck. So we're going to go 0 rare with the first deck of Blue Flash. Now, a lot of you will know if you've been on this channel a while, I am a blue mage. I love blue cards. For good or bad, I just love playing blue. This is a really cool deck that revolves around Flash. So Flash is, you may cast a spell with Flash anytime you could cast an instant spell. So for your new and beginner players there, which is what these decks are great for, this is a deck that is played, can be played in opponent's turn. So you're leaving your mana up as blue does. We've got counter spells and we've got, stuff to interfere with opponent's decks, battlefield, and everything like that. And then we just gradually build up a board if we're, as long as we're allowed to, should we say. That is the idea of the deck anyway. So, it's good in practice. But what's good about this as well, when you've got creatures with Flash, you can actually, after a wrath like Sunfall or something like that, where opponent thinks they're going to get rid of our creatures, we can play it after that, because potentially normally they play that turn 5 and tap out for it. And we also have ways where we can actually bring creatures back. So we've got a card in here called Get Out, and I did this to win one of my games in practice for the deck, where it says return 1 or 2 target creatures and enchantments back to your own hand. So there was a Sunfall on play. I had 2 of the Plume Creed escorts on there. Opponent wrathed out. I got both of my creatures back and still had a 4 mana spare. And basically, I played him straight away again after, and opponent just rage quit, because of course they thought they were going to just keep alive with that. But we got tricksy ways to do with this deck, which is what I like. So if that appeals to you and you like playing a little bit of control, this is going to be the deck for you. So we'll have a look at the stats quickly first. We've got 18 creatures and 18 non-creatures in there, 24 lands, because we don't want to be missing our lands, and it is a 2.7 average for each spell as well. Now, top end, we've got our creature Eddie Merc. Eddie is great. It's a 5/5. Flash comes in, costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery spell in your graveyard, and we have 18 non-creatures in there, so we are able to do that and get this costing, a little bit cheaper. Now, this comes in tap a turn. It comes in tap if it's not your turn, but then we get to tap up to 2 target creatures, and it's a nice big 5/5. So that is our top end and our, one of our main win cons of getting in there. But we do have a lot of other creatures in the deck that can just literally just peck away at our opponents. We got Flood Pit's Drowner. This is Flash and Vigilant. When it enters, tap target creature an opponent controls. Then you're going to put a stun counter on it as well. You can pay 2, shuffle Drowner, and target creature with a stun counter into their owner's library as well. So a nice utility card for an uncommon as well from that set, from the new set that we have. I spoke about Escort, Flash Flying. This can give one of our creatures Hexproof. So with all the removal that is in standard, we're using this potentially sometimes just to protect our creatures if we can, but you can play it in there and then protect itself if you get the chance to do that, or just like the idea of it is to come in and protect something else. Chrome Prowler enters, tap target creature controls, opponent controls. So you can see the idea of this deck. We are tapping down creatures, and we're countering some stuff as well, just so we can keep that battlefield clear for us to keep pecking away with these little aggro-esque creatures that all have great abilities as well. Fear of Imposters. When this enters, counter target spell, but its controller does get to manifest dread. But if you're stopping something massive, do you know what I mean? You're stopping a Sheoldred coming down. It's worth that risk to have this in the deck. And it's Flash and another counter spell that we can have here, but in the form of a Flash creature as well. Look at the spells we have. So Into the Floodmoor, I've put this in there because it's great just for returning opponents' creatures, more keeping the battlefield clear if we can. If we can do the Gift Promised, if we have to, return target non-land permanent instead. So it means we can target something else. We have to do a few gift tap fishes every now and again, but we do have flying in one of our creatures as well. We've got the Escort that does fly, and we've still got plenty of other ways to tap down creatures. Phantom Interference is in there, can make a 2/2 creature with flying or used as a counter spell. So later on we can get more evasion with that and get some more flying creatures on the battlefield. And we've got a couple of Unable to Scream. Enchant creature, there's a lot of massive creatures, and we don't have like, you know, destroy, removal in blue. So this coming in there gives a creature loses all its abilities, base power becomes 0/2. So that is for 1 mana. It'd be nice if it had flash, but that would just be, you know, it wouldn't be a common card then, I wouldn't have thought. Probably be upgraded to uncommon, but still a very sweet, and we got that in there as a 2 of. Negate, just a couple of negates in there. Just they're both the same card, but they're the same arts, but they're just different sets that I've got in there. I spoke about Get Out. Loads of enchantment spells going along in this standard at the moment. All of those, you know, really, really good creatures, the imposter stuff like that. And this can really help with that counter spell in there. And I think it's good. And the return is nice as well for double blue. And we can play it because we're just islands. Talking of lands, basic, 24 basic, very easy in this deck, so no special lands for this. So all you need is your islands, and then card draw. Lots of card draw. This is great. Drawing a card for each island we control. You have to discard 2 cards, but when you're drawing 5, 6, 7 cards, you get the pick of a great bunch of cards and potentially find what you need. So this deck is like a control aggro tempo kind of deck as well. It comes in with, you know, more creatures than mono blue is usually used to, but still Crab will work well because it's still got plenty of instants and sorceries in there for this to work really well, and to have our big, you know, end game creature in there. I didn't go for Delirium in this one because I wanted to keep it, you know, like mono blue. You could have Delirium Terror, that would be nice. But with the 18 instants and sorceries, usually mono blue might run, you know, 10 to 12 creatures. That type of deck that plays the Haughty Djinns. But this was more of a different type of build that I wanted to do something different to than the normal standard blue and have a flash effect on it. This is the first deck. Let's get on to the second one. So for you red mages out there, we've got a 0 rare red deck. We have to do a red deck. Land base, very simple again, just 20 mountains because the CMC on this one is super low, 1.5. 18 creatures and 22 instant spells. No sorceries in this one. I was thinking about doing Gruul, but, you know, because we do have Picnic Ruiner in there, but, you know, turn 4, a lot of times you can be dead in best of 1 standard, and I feel like we're just better off just taking the green out. Makes the land base a lot easier in this one, which is why I did it. So we're going for a Prowess theme in this. So Monastery Swift Spear obviously has the Prowess as well. Khemra Spell Spear, we can pay 3 and the 2 life to transform it into that Gitaxian spell, which then would give it Prowess. But even just as a 2-drop with Trample, which is very important to get over with that damage. Now, Infantry doesn't have Prowess, but what it does is like a... Whereas Prowess as like the +1/1s on, they disappear. This will add a +1/1 counter. So pseudo Prowess creature here, and importantly, again, like I said, has Trample. Trample is very good when you're playing against all those token decks, which is what this deck, you know, needs to get over the top with cards like Monstrous Rage and everything like that, and then massive pump spells like Turn Inside Out if they do try to kill our creature, or if we're just attacking blindly in to try and get a bit of trample over, and then we manifest dread and we get another creature anyway. Other creature I did mention here was Picnic Runner. We're not using the stolen goodies here because we're keeping it budget and keeping it easy to play with just being mono red. But this is a 2/2. When it attacks while you control a creature with power 4, it gains double strike. Now we can easily get a creature with the prowess on all this up to the power of 4 with the pumps. You know, Monstrous Rage, Turn Inside Out, very easily done in this deck. We've got Might of the Meek. We do run one of those little mouses in there, so we could potentially pump it on this and put a 1/1 counter on it. And obviously we know when this dies, it's a very good card. It deals damage to each opponent. We're not going for the sack deck in this one. Like I said, I wanted to do stuff a little bit different to, you know, change some of the decks up, keep it fresh for everyone. There's not many upgrades needed for this one, but they are down below. The 3 cards that are there, and you'll have to go and have a look for that. But then obviously, if you want to know what to take out, just let me know in the comments below. We got more removal or just shocks and strikes to the head to get just so much damage to opponent. And then a couple of Witchstalker Frenzy to help deal with those slightly bigger creatures. Sheoldred, the absolute pain where opponent starts to gain life and everything like that. And this is very much needed in there. You might need to go to 3 possibly for that. You have to see how the deck fares, but you're trying to win very quick with this deck. It's all out aggro, pumping creatures, and then just, basically trampling over with mono red here. And it's a very quick fun. If you're looking for, like I've said before in previous videos, if you're looking for quick games because you don't have a lot of time, decks like this 0 rare mono red Prowess are perfect for you because you can win quick, lose quick. You really can, and it's a really good deck for those players that need just get some quick games in to get their dailies done. So now we have a nice white deck here. I've spoke about mono white auras before, but this is a 0 rare version. It's cool. I love this deck. 18 creatures, 20 non-creatures. We've got 22 lands in here, 24 enchantments in this deck. So, nearly half the deck is the enchantments, which is what we want. So we've got a lot of the staples that you see in blue-white enchantments, the rare version of this mono-white. We've got the scavenger in here. We've got lots of the same cards, all basically built around this great reprint Ethereal Armor. +1/1 for each enchantment we control as well. It gives it first strike. Protection with Rescue, and one of the best cards printed was Sheltered by Ghost for the Aura decks. This is amazing. Gives it War 2 lifelink, and you get to exile target non-land permanent opponent controls. Just such a great uncommon. Super powerful. And then we have various creatures. Now, some of the creatures obviously that get used, by dropping the blue we make it easier to cast, but we do miss some of the creatures that obviously get enchantments cheaper, but this makes it a little bit easier with the land base, and you're not worried about upgrading to those expensive rare lands. We still have some creatures that can do some real good stuff. So if Fear of Surveillance is an enchantment creature with Vigilance, when this attacks we get to Surveil 1. Even though this is not an enchantment, it's going to be great to build up on because of the double strike of the Toxic, which means a bit of poison potentially. They're getting those double strikes in there, but double strike with an Ethereal Armor and plenty of enchantments is going to be massive on this. We then also have Annex Sentry. I think this is just good in there. We've got the little bit of Toxic with the Judas. We've got this in there. This is just great removal as well, and has really good 1/4 stats. So this can become some big protection against some, with an Ethereal Armor on, it can become big protection against some big creatures. And the last creature I chose for, even though it wasn't an enchantment, but as you can see, we've got plenty of enchantments, is this because it has War 2 in it. So Leonin Lightbringer with War 2 makes it, just a little bit harder for opponents to remove. And as long as it is equipped, it gets +1/1. So for 3 mana, you're going to get a War 2 equipped, a 4/3. So very nice on that. The enchantments, we spoke about a few of them, but we've also got Feather of Flight. The blue version does have a flying enchantment as well, but we've got this that we can use. Gives an enchantment creature +1 and flying, and we get to draw a card for 2 mana. Has flash it in there, fly over the top, draw that card, get that extra bit of damage in as well. Removal, Ossification, enchantment removal, and then more enchantment removal, Seal from Existence that has Ward 3. So it's harder to deal with again, just like we spoke about with the Leonin. The Ward is a really good effect for us, and it can help potentially keep the annoying thing that we've got out of the way for us to help win the game permanently out the way if we can. This deck is really good to play. You've got the idea of it is to get your creatures on there. Hopefully the scavenger will be on early, turn 1, turn 2 if you can. So then you put the enchantments in, start building up, put a 1/1 counter and start building up your creatures, making them flying. Double strike, Ethereal Armor, flying over the top with lots of that, and potentially, you never know, you might be able to 1-strike and just hit your opponent once and just win the game. This is a really cool deck if you want to play Auras. Auras is already pretty budget, but when you add the double colours in, you really have to have, those 12 rare lands normally that you'll be adding in. This gives you a version that you can play, and there will be upgrades down below suggestions, but not much needed more for this really cool white Auras deck. 2 more decks to go, and we have a 0 rare Delirium deck. This I practice with. It's just aggro, it really is. So this is one of the best uncommons from the new set that we had recently. Wildfire Wicker Fork, 3/2 green and a red haste Delirium, so it gets +1/1 and has trample as long as there's 4 or more card types in your graveyard. We have recursion, we can bring this back from the graveyard as well. We're playing Say Its Name, so you mill 3 cards, then return a creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. We also got Alternac. We got a single Alternac because we might be able to pull the Dream and get that straight in there if we can, and put it on the battlefield if we go through these. But Delirium has some really good creatures that we can play with. So Beastie is a 3/3, but it does need those 4 types to be able to do anything, but you can mill. So turn 1, this is not dead. You start building up your Delirium, this can come in there, and if you get the right amount of cards in there early, you're attacking pretty soon. Piggy Bank, make a treasure token when this dies, is good because we do have some, higher spells here. Fear of Burning Alive, the Delirium in this is nice, but it's a 6 mana 4/4, but does 4 damage to each opponent when it comes in. So we want that tiny little bit of ramp. Piggy Bank coming in as a blocker. It's 3/2 stats for 2 mana is nice as well. So you get some early attacks in with this. It's going to be sweet. But you also, when it dies, using its blocker, get that treasure token if we can. Now, we can make everything block Fear of Being Hunted. So Fear of Being must be blocked if able. So this can be blocked. Opponent's just got that 1 creature on there, but it might be a very good creature. And they're thinking of blocking our Alternac or something like that. This does win you games in its own because the opponent has to block this and they can't then block the big creature coming in its place. I really like that creature. It's got haste as well, so it literally comes down swinging as a 4/2. Then we have lots of removal. A fair bit of removal, shall I say. Not lots of removal. We've got Scorching Dragonfire, 3 damage. The Exile is very important in this with the mono red decks. Exiling the Heartfires, everything like that, because you don't want the dealing damage to the Cacophony Scamps. You just want to exile. Exile is great for standard at the moment, specifically for that type of deck. So you want to be killing the mono red leyline deck. Dragonfire exiling means they can't then, do the damage afterwards. So it's a pretty good card at the moment for this one. We then have Beastie Beatdown. 2 mana sorcery, choose target creature card, target creature opponent controls. If there are 4 or more card types on the cards, put 2/1/1 counters on the creature you control. Then they deal damage to it. So even if you don't have Delirium, it still can be removal. We've got some good stats here of creatures, but the Delirium just means we get 2/1/1 counters on, and then it turns some of these creatures into massive, 2/1/1 counters on this, and then a 6/4. This could then be a 6, was it be a 6/5? It'd just be some really big creatures. So Beastie Beatdown, although sorcery, is still a good card, and we can clear the way potentially then to get our attacks in, or leave the opponents with 1 blocker, so they have to block that and then let something bigger through if we can with the Alternac, if it's on the field. Last creature we're going to talk about is Insidious Fungus. Just it's a very good value creature. It runs just 1 of these. It's a 1/2. Sack it, destroy artifact, enchantment, draw a card, may put a land card from your hand, battlefield tap. So put it in there, block it, and then sack it in response and get 1 of those. I think it's it's a very good creature, and potentially I would maybe like to up it to 2, but I really couldn't drop. I didn't see anything else to drop here. Under the Skin is needed. Could manifest dread. Returning target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So we get that creature in there, but we might be able to return the Wicker Folk coming down with haste, the Fear then coming down with haste. Late game, any one of these. So I think that's good coming, back to your hand, and then potentially having a chance to play something hasty as well. Land base is 2 colours, so we're going for like the 18 basics there. Bleeding Woods might come down untapped late game, and then just a couple of Terramorphic Expanse in there to help with Delirium if we can as well. So this deck doesn't need many upgrades at all. It really does play well. For 0 rares, it's a really good, fun deck. Last deck, we're going graveyard theme. So in this 0 rare version, it is going to be Golgari. When we upgrade it, we're going to be adding a little bit of blue. Mainly in the upgrades will be the lands. As you can see here, the deck runs these absolute beaters. The Swarm, 6/6 Menace Death Touch, Arriving Necromant, 5/5 Death Touch, and Hollow Marauder is a nice 4/2 flyer as well. So we're looking, basically drawing cards off up the beanstalk, playing these cheaper, and then you still draw the card. So even if you get to play this for 2 mana, it still sees that it's 8 mana, and you will get to draw that card. So it will be 5 or greater for those new players that don't know that. So you will get to draw the cards of these, even if they are cheaper. Now, We have ways to mill in the deck. We've got Gnawing Vermin to get stuff into the graveyard. We've also got Aftermath Analyst. This will come in, mill 3 cards as well. Balustrade Prowler comes in, mills 3 cards. And then we have the Soul Tender that will come in and mill 3 cards. So plenty of ways to fill up the graveyard to get these in as early as we can. Get them in there and then start smashing. Now, Soul Tender is a great addition because this will pay 5. You exile it from your graveyard, return another target creature from your graveyard to your hand. So when, obviously, there will be times that you will just mill some of these and you need them back. With Soul Tender in there, there's a nice 3/1 stats in there. You can get this in the graveyard and then potentially get this back to your hand as well. So it has some recursion in this. If we need something in the graveyard because we've not got enough what we need to play other stuff, we've got Final Vengeance, that's a removal. Spoke about previously, having exile is very good at the moment, so this is why this is in there. Sacrifice a creature enchantment and you get to exile target creature. The same with the Night Affliction, we need a bit more exile to get rid of those Heartfires and everything like that. So that is why we won 2 of these and then 2 go for the throat as well. So 6 pieces of removal there. Couple, one of it being sorcery, but still very good. And for 1 mana, it's just sweet. You know what I mean? It just really is sweet. And then a couple of instant speeds that we won't ever really get. We won't get corrupted at all. But getting rid of those early creatures, it's nice to have the potential to exile them, which is really what we want. Spoke about the card drawing engine with Up the Beanstalk with all these big creatures. There's 15 creatures there, so plenty of ways to draw cards as well. And then we have some more sack fodder here that can act as removal in Haywire Might. Dies, a little bit of life gain, pay the 1, sack it, exile non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment, so we can attack stuff that's problematic to the deck there as well. Land base. Basics, yeah, plenty of basics, but then we're going for we're a slightly slower deck here, so we've got the Jungle Hollows, nice bit of life gain. The Cemeteries, all these 13 or less lives go in all my budget decks if you're playing 2 colours, just because they can become in untapped late game, which is brilliant. And then 4 Evolving Wilds, because we want to be searching for the colours and we don't want to be missing any of these colours if we can, although we do have 8 double dew lands there for as well. So yeah, all in all, this is a very fun deck and it's definitely one that you can upgrade and have a lot of fun with. So there are 5 more 0 rare decks for you all. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please smash the like button if you did enjoy it. I try to keep lots of budget content coming your way as we go through all of the season, in between all the sets, just to keep everything fresh for you on MTG Arena. And I know there's a lot of new and beginner players that join and come and join this channel as I put new ones of these videos out. So, I appreciate the comments you give me on these, especially on these videos, are just absolutely amazing. I really do appreciate it. Leave me one down below and I will always reply to everyone I can. If you want to go a bit further and support me, I've got a Patreon. You can go and take a look at that. Thanks to all the current patrons. I really do appreciate your support. You lot take care and I'll see you on the next video.